All right, welcome to Lab 2. So let me explain it. This one's all about if statements. There are two things that you'll be working on. The first is called fuzz, biz, baz, and the second one is called tic-tac-toe. So once you get the starter code, you should see two files, one for each of those. So let's do the first. This first one is very similar to the FizzBuzz I was talking about in class. There's just more stuff to do. It's a bit fancier, so let me show you that code. Fuzz, there we go. So the first thing you'll do is get a number from the user. Here are some screenshots of what needs to go on. So the user is going to type a number, and then it's your job to print fuzz, biz, fuzz biz, fuzz baz, biz baz, or fuzz biz baz. Okay, so there's three different things instead of two different things in like we had in FizzBuzz. So you're going to be checking for divisibility by 2, 3, and 5, and all combinations of those. Okay. So if the number that the user types is divisible by 2, you'll print fuzz. If it's by 3, you'll print biz. If it's by 5, you'll print baz. And that's only if it's by these alone. If there are any combinations, like 2 and 3, that 2 was fuzz, 3 was biz. So if the number that the user typed was like 6, it was divisible by both 2 and 3, you'll be printing fuzz biz. So there's an example of that. Does that make sense? So if it's 2 and 5, that was fuzz and baz, so you'll print fuzz baz. I think you get the rest. If it's divisible by all of those three numbers, then you'll print all three words, fuzz, biz, baz. Okay, so very, very similar to FizzBuzz in class, but there's extra stuff you got to worry about now, and the ordering is, of course, very important. I want you to get it the way that I was talking about in class, but there is actually a trick if you want to think about that after you got it right the first time. There's a trick that only involves 4 if statements. Think about that and maybe ask me at office hours if you're interested in that solution. So that's the first problem that you'll be working on. So get that working. And the next one is tic-tac-toe. So let me show you that code, tic-tac-toe.cvp. And so you're going to ask the user to give you a tic-tac-toe board, which is kind of cool. They're going to type a bunch of space-separated characters, either X's or O's, of course. And you're going to get all of those characters. Okay, so you're going to need to save each individual piece of the tic-tac-toe board, probably in a separate variable, because the user is going to enter 9 characters, right? One for each of each element of the tic-tac-toe board. So you're going to get all of these, and you should call them B11, B12, B13, because I've already given you some answers based on those variable names. So read in your characters with those variable names. I think that will be beneficial for you. Okay, so read in a bunch of stuff. You can use cin a bunch of times to get a bunch of space separated things. Use that kind of syntax. And then after you have in all of these variables the characters, it goes in order by row. So you'll have this tic-tac-toe board essentially once you've read all those characters, and then it's your job to see if anybody won. Okay, so you check all the rows, the columns, the diagonals. You know tic-tac-toe, right? And then if somebody won, you got to tell the user, you got to print it out, who wins. So, for example, this first board is, I think, this one that I am typing up here. So you see that X wins because of the diagonal. And so it's your job to notice that and print that X wins. Okay, here's some other boards that you can see, like O wins. And then it's possible that nobody won. And in that case, you'll output it's a tie. Okay, so that'll be a bunch of if statements checking all the different conditions for winning. And you got to remember who was the winner, right? Because this is a bunch of X characters. It could have just as easily been a bunch of O characters, and you need to notice the difference. Okay, so here is a good way of checking. Like here's how to check all the rows for a winner. Let me show you this one, this first one. So the winner, somebody won if the first row is all the same character. And so that's what this if statement is checking. It's checking, hey, is B11 equal to B12? So that we know that these are the same. And then we're also checking, hey, is B12 equal to B13? Checking if those are the same. And so those two combined with an and tells us, if it's true, that that entire row was made up of the same character. Okay, so they are all equal. In that case, we know it's either X or O, right? We know that that is the winner. So you can just pick. We know that all of these are equal to each other. You can just say that the winner was one of them. Could have been B11, B12, B13. We know that they're equal. Does that make sense? So we just save the winner in a variable like that. Start it off with a question mark. I think that's useful. And these are just equivalently checking, hey, did somebody win in this row? Hey, did somebody win in this row? And there will only ever be one winner. So don't worry about multiple options. Only one of these if statements is ever going to become true, even after you've written more. Okay, so it's your job to check the columns and check the diagonals for a winner. And then at the very end, I want you to print who the winner was. I think it's helpful to use this winner variable. You can use that in your answer. So if somebody won, print out a line saying that they won with an exclamation point. Okay, either X wins or O wins. If there's a tie, if nobody won, like you never hit any of these if statements, then you need to print, instead of somebody wins, you need to print that it's a tie. Okay? So, yeah, use my pattern that I wrote up here for checking the rows to check the columns and the diagonals for a winner, and then it's your job to print out who won if somebody won. Okay? So that's the tic-tac-toe example, and that is your second program that you'll be writing for this lab. So I think that's everything that I wanted to talk about. You'll be turning in both files, of course, and that is that. So let me know if you have any questions, and good luck. I will see you next week.